Today's Neville Goddard conversation mind map is titled, Contemplate the I to Manifest All Who Relate to the I. So let's continue our discussion on not seeking for what you already have. The seeming paradox is, whatever you acknowledge you already have in imagination appears accordingly and automatically as life experiences. So what we truly seek through applying the law is fulfillment. And this fulfillment manifests in and as the experiences of our lives, all through acknowledgement of desires being fulfilled in imagination, the feeling of it being real now. As Neville says, what you desire you already have, and you seek it only because you have already found it. You found it in the form of desire. It is just as real in the form of desire as it is going to be to your bodily organs. You are already that which you seek, and you have no one to change but self in order to express it. Now, this is why I encourage confirming only in imagination that you already have what you desire to abide in this ideal state of consciousness, the state of the wish fulfilled, from which everything happens ideally automatically. This is how we practice the law. Let the world be. It is a manifestation of law. Cease forming an identity based on attachment. Instead, imagine what your desire implies and abide in that fulfillment state. So now awareness, you are that. And the power of awareness, you operate through imagination. You already being one with them are life, and you have your way of life. Abiding by the law as the way of life. The law is always being applied consciously or subconsciously to manifest the experiences of life. Here we discuss consciously ideally, resulting in abiding by it ideally automatically. This rather than conforming to past inharmonious subconscious beliefs, repeating them again and again as paddles of recurrence. So anytime the senses evidence what you consider as not ideal, simply put off that former conversation and carry on inner conversation from the premise of being fulfilled. Acknowledge this. The I is already fulfilled. Contemplate the I by abiding as the I, and you realize it and acknowledge it as already fulfilled. As in, you are already fulfilled. Fulfillment is your true nature. By law is how we manifest our true nature. And so, what is the alternative? Carrying on mental conversations from the premise of lack of fulfillment? That would be lying to yourself. Gaslighting yourself. Forget it. Your true nature is fulfillment. There is thus no such thing as lack of fulfillment to the I. The I only knows it is fulfilled. Thus you are already fulfilled. You simply acknowledge it in imagination by accepting what you desire the way it truly is. Fulfilled, as he mentioned. This is the way of life. If you dig deeper into the etymology of Christianity, it refers to people of the way. The way is to think for yourself. By that I mean the true I, ordering inner conversations from the premise of promised fulfillment, walking by faith, not by sight, allowing fulfillment to evidence the senses as fulfillment aspects of life, by way of acknowledging that life, which is the I, is already fulfilled, thus proving God's perfect and pleasing will. As stated in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. So we renew the mind by putting off former conversation if it is not ideal, and carry on inner conversation from the premise of already being ideal now. See, conversation is used interchangeably with way and also path in various translations of Psalm 50:23. The American King James Version has it, "Whoever offers praise glorifies me, and to him that orders his conversation aright, I will show the salvation of God." The New Living Translation has it, "If you keep to my path." The English Standard Version has it, "One who orders his way rightly." So again, way, path, conversation are used interchangeably. So we live by the way, through ordering our mental conversations from the premise of fulfillment, as Neville says. Our attitudes unfold within us in the form of mental conversations. Inner talking from premises of fulfilled desire is the way to consciously create circumstances. So now let's discuss consciously creating desired circumstances through cessation of mental conversation from the premise of lack of fulfillment, which is not true to the I, by engaging in mental conversations from the premise of fulfillment to manifest accordingly. Let's go back to the quote mentioned in the start, which I segmented here into 3 parts. What you now desire, you already have, and you seek it only because you have already found it. You found it in the form of desire. It is just as real in the form of desire as it is going to be to your bodily organs. You are already that which you seek, and you have no one to change but self in order to express it. So again, there it is in a nutshell. Anything you seek, you are already that. Now, this might not make sense to one with identification in mind. And by that I mean, specifically in this context, identification to beliefs in mind corresponding as appearances which they allowed the 5 senses to evidence for them, rather than acknowledging that imagination renews the presentation, the evidence of the senses. So I'd actually like to start with number 3 first and then move up to number 1. He says, "You are already that which you seek, and you have no one to change but self in order to express it." Now, what is being referred to is the I, that is the self. By I, this is referring to beyond the concept of self. The nature of I is what we truly seek to know and understand. Upon doing so, the I is realized and understood to be unconditional love and fulfillment, thus truly blissful. Then we live life consciously by law, from the authentic inner understanding of Atman and Brahman, Sat Chit Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss, as Neville says here. We must begin to take life consciously, for the solution of all problems lies just in this. The second man, the Lord from heaven in all of us, is trying to become self-conscious in the body, that he may be about his Father's business. What are his labors? To imitate his Father, to become master of the Word, master of his inner talking, that he may mold this world of ours into a likeness with the kingdom of love. So now number 2, he says, "It is just as real in the form of desire as it is going to be to your bodily organs." So the spiritual I speaks the language of the heart, which the spiritual I unconditionally knows as fact. This language of the heart is experienced by the natural self through desire, as he says here. The spiritual self speaks to the natural self through the language of desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. Unhesitating obedience to its voice is an immediate assumption of the wish fulfilled. To desire a state is to have it. So the spiritual I knows it already has. So thus humanity has been instructed to imagine desire as fulfilled. For to desire a state is to have it. This could be fulfilling relationships, business, lifestyle, whatever you, as in the I, imagines to be attributes of fulfillment, manifesting thus your true nature as experiences of life by changing self, or we could say embodying your true self. So desire means you already have. As he says, you have found what you have through desire. Desire means you already have. Now some may have associated shame to desire. Thus I trust that this shall help in releasing that identification. To further discuss releasing identification to separation beliefs between desire and fulfillment, which are truly one, I recommend last Sunday's video where we discussed the first-class journey to the destination. I'll link in the description to it. So we don't inwardly dwell upon mental conversation unless it is from the premise of fulfilled desire. We may observe lightheartedly if it is there without identification. Any mental conversation that is not ideal to indicate it is now the moment to inwardly speak feelingly from the premise of fulfilled desire. That's how we apply the law through inner speech. This is how I transformed my life upon discovering autosuggestion in 2004 through Think and Grow Rich. Autosuggestion applied in this context is inner speech from the premise of acknowledgement that the I is already fulfilled. Autosuggestion is a form of acknowledging already being that beyond identification, from which the concept of self changes to life manifesting ideally automatically as a reflection of already being that. And as you remain abiding in and operating from your ideal state of consciousness, so does life continue to appear more so that way as the various shapes and forms and higher degrees of experiences of that ideal state as evidenced for you by the senses. And then we have number 3. He says, what you now desire, you already have. You seek it only because you have already found it. Hence why I titled this mind map, Contemplate the I to manifest all who relate to the I. See, by contemplating the I, you reveal the true nature of existence and how and why it appears. This releases identification to separation beliefs between desire and fulfillment. You and your ideal relationships, you and your ideal business, etc. Now, upon contemplation of the I, a simple application of acknowledgement of being fulfilled is the Dr. Millikan autosuggestion Neville provided, which is, I have a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. Notice how have is stated, I have. Also, consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, which is symbolic also to the true nature of I, which is unconditional love and one with all I's, and thus it also acknowledges all is truly one I. So we see no suggestion of separation here, only acknowledgement of the I as already fulfilled in a way that is desired for life experience. Thus, we don't need to forcefully convince ourselves of already having. Upon understanding the true nature of the I, autosuggestion is acknowledgement that we already are all that we desire to experience in the form of a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, if that's what one desires. And this can be applied to all areas of your life to manifest loving, ideal relationships with others or whatever. This is how I built my businesses, my friendships, my relationships, by acknowledging that there is no real separation or gap in consciousness, rather loving relationships with all that appear and it plays out accordingly. And you and I are no different. You can experience the same as well if you desire, as all I's are truly one I and are thus already in fulfilling relationship with each other. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an autosuggestion to further encourage. You can say, what I desire, I already have, and I acknowledge it in imagination, as I have already found it in the form of desire. I am already fulfilled, and I allow the feeling of it to be experienced in thought, emotion, and body. I already am as I continue to accept self and express self as the various ideal relationships of life. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.